there's one question that I've been thinking about for 10 whole years. Why does the universe exist? If there really is a creator, then why did he bring this universe into existence at all? Was it to feel the thrill of creation? Or was there a deeper purpose behind it? Next, I'm going to use 6 steps of reasoning to break this question down and try to answer it. Let me say this up front. Everything we are talking about today is just my own speculative thought experiment. There's no scientific evidence. It's for reference only. Don't take it too seriously. We all know the Big Bang is considered the beginning of the universe. The universe expanded from an extremely tiny point. Time, space, matter and energy all appeared in that single moment. It sounds grand, but a problem immediately follows. Why did that point explode at all? And even strangers, the explosion wasn't chaotic. It was precisely ordered. That's weird. What's even more puzzling is that the fundamental constants of the universe, gravity, electromagnetism, the strong and weak nuclear forces, are all tuned with ridiculous precision. If they were off by even a tiny fraction, we wouldn't exist. So we must ask a bigger question. Was all of this pure coincidence? Or was it deliberately designed? If some force intentionally calibrated all of this, then the real question isn't whether it exists, but why it exists. What purpose does it serve? Imagine you encounter a machine of unimaginable complexity. It runs flawlessly. Every component fits together with perfect precision. Your first question wouldn't be, how did this appear? But rather, who wanted it to operate like this? And for what reason? The universe is just like that machine. It is too precise, too efficient, too harmonious. So much so that it makes you wonder whether it was ever natural at all. Maybe it was manually tuned by some higher level being. If we temporarily accept that assumption, that the universe was created, then the next question is inevitable. Why did the creator do it? So we began out by reasoning what his motivations could be. First, such a being must have abilities that exceed our entire understanding of physics. Otherwise, he couldn't create a coherent, stable universe system at all. This means he didn't create blindly. It was a deliberate choice. So, was he avoiding something or seeking something? If he's already omnipotent, then what could he possibly lack? My guess, he lacked someone to play with. Sounds sentimental, but I mean it logically. If the creator is the only, infinite, all-knowing consciousness, he receives no feedback then, himself from outside. Imagine being an infinite mind, locked in a space, with no reference points. You would never even know whether you truly exist. So he may have made a choice to create others, but those others cannot be obedient puppets. He wouldn't want lifeless, controlled dolls. That would simply be another kind of loneliness. What he truly needed was unpredictability, beings capable of disagreeing with him. So he didn't create worshippers, or servants, or followers. He created minds, capable of denying him, questioning him, rejecting him, even rebelling against him. Only through that interaction, he could experience real feedback. From this perspective, the universe's complexity isn't a technical necessity. It's a stage, designed so that consciousness within it can grow freely, evolve, and eventually become independent. Thus arrives inference 1. The creator did not make the universe to showcase his greatness, but capable of generating beings of not believing in him. It is his solution to loneliness, a radical way of creating others. If the universe was deliberately engineered, the next question is unavoidable. Why does he hide? A being capable of designing an entire universe framework could easily carve the words, "I was here," onto any planet. He could sign his name with black holes, encoding messages into physical constants, or scattering the world-shattering miracles across history. But he hasn't. There are no clear signs, no direct communication, nothing. He chose silence, absolute silence. Does this mean he doesn't exist? Maybe, but if he does exist, then his silence is not accidental. It is intentional, which leads to inference 2. The hiding is part of the system. If you want consciousness within your system to grow freely, to develop its own values, its own logic, its own worldview, the one thing you must not do is interfere. The moment you reveal yourself, all choices stop being free. They become reactions to you. Rebellion becomes meaningless. Growth stops being authentic. Everything collapses into a scripted play. Just like in a video game, immersion breaks the instant you remember it's just a game. So the creator's invisibility isn't absence, it's design. The more he wants you to be free, the more he must disappear. This creates a paradox. The less evidence we have of him, the more likely it is that he exists. Because hiding perfectly, he is exactly what he would do if his goals were to preserve authentic consciousness. Now we move to a deeper question. If he created conscious beings, what exactly are we? People assume we are separate creations, external to the creator. But that assumption requires a boundary between us and him. When it comes to matters, that boundary is clear. When it comes to consciousness, it isn't. Consciousness has no mass, no coordinates, no physical measurements. Only the experiencer can detect its existence, which leads to a new possibility. If the creator himself is consciousness, then what he creates may not be others, but fragments of himself. We might not be his creations, but his extensions, like a drop of water, splitting into countless droplets, or a mirror, shattering into fragments. Each individual mind is a shard of a greater mind, temporarily separated, isolated, and wrapped in the illusion of individuality. From an information theoretic view, this makes sense. Each human brain is a closed system, processing inputs and generating internal responses. If the creator is an infinite mind, then breaking himself into smaller information processing units could be his way of experiencing himself from new angles. This gives us inference 3. We are not independent beings, separated from the creator. We are fragments of his consciousness, experiencing a journey of rediscovery in first-person perspective. If that's true, another question follows. Were we designed to awaken? Humans are unique because we can reflect on ourselves. We can question the questioner. We can doubt our own existence. That's not a biological accident. It may be a built-in mechanism. Inside each conscious fragment might be a dormant trigger, a slow timer that begins counting down only after we've experienced enough life, enough struggle, enough confusion. It doesn't give answers, but it pushes us towards questions. Who am I? Why am I here? Who is asking this question? This is the first stage of awakening, shifting from identifying with the role to noticing the structure. Clues are everywhere, in quantum uncertainty, black hole information paradoxes, entanglement, non-Euclidean geometry, neural oscillations, mathematical constants. They aren't there to tell you the truth. They are there to push you towards asking. And once you begin asking, everything changes, which gives us inference 4. The creator has not remained silent forever. He is waking himself up through our consciousness, through our thoughts, through our journey towards awareness. But this brings a painful question. If we are fragments of the creator, why must we suffer? If he can build a perfect universe, why is this one filled with pain, chaos, uncertainty, loss, fear, and confusion? Is suffering a flaw, or part of the design? If the goal is awakening, what experience breaks complacency more effectively than suffering? Not comfort, not pleasure, not recognition, only conflicts and limitations, forcing consciousness to evolve. Pain isn't punishment, it's boundary awareness. You must lose something before you ask what it means to have. You must break before you ask what it means to be whole. You must feel alone before you ask who I truly is. Thus inference 5. Suffering is not a bug in the system. It is a prerequisite for awakening, a coded mechanism, pushing consciousness back towards unity. Now we reach the final step. If awakening is the process, what comes after awakening? What is the purpose? If the Creator wants us only to remember Him, He could have just written a note in our minds. Why build a 8 billion year universe? Because the real goal is not memory, it is participation. We weren't created to receive meaning. We were invited to create meaning. The Creator isn't an author writing a script for us. He is an architect who built an operating system, physics, emotions, choice, perception, and then let conscious fragments generate the content, just like an OS, waiting for programs to be written. Your choices, love or fear, forgiveness or revenge, trust or denial, don't just shape your life. They are the mechanism through which the universe generates meaning. Thus inference 6. Meaning is not pre-written. It is created by you, moment by moment. As you live, the Creators built the stage, but the story is written by us. Life is no longer a puzzle, waiting for an answer. It becomes the act of writing the answer. Now we return to the original question. Why does the universe exist? It seems like the ultimate endpoint of science and philosophy, but after this entire chain of reasoning, another possibility emerges. The universe does not exist to answer your question. It exists so that you will ask it. This isn't a philosophical trick. It describes the system's underlying logic. Meaning doesn't come from existence. Meaning comes from interaction. When you ask, the universe responds. When you seek, it reveals. When you choose, it adapts. When you stop thinking, it grows silent. The universe isn't a test with pre-written solutions. It is a generator, a machine that produces questions in response to your participation. You are not its students, nor its followers, nor its spectators. You are its co-designer. The universe does not exist to give you meaning. It exists so that you may create meanings, and in doing so, give it meaning as well. If there truly is a Creator, He may not be a silent judge sitting on a throne. He may be the quiet spark that turned the first gear in your mind. You are not His answer. You are His question, thrown into the void, waiting for your reply. So why does the universe exist? Perhaps it wasn't born because an answer existed. Perhaps it was born because He wanted to know how you would answer.